Configure integrations with external applications. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover two primary use cases. The first is around alerts and notifications in enterprise collaborations tools such as Slack. And then I'm going to cover another additional features of newly introduced Visual Studio 2017 feature packs around integration development environment tools and how you adopt continuous delivery as part of your DevOps, WinOps experience. As you can see, there's a number of different tools which have notifications that you could look at adopting. So there's the Visual Studio Team Services tools, there's the Team Foundation server tools, all that have notifications. And more recently, the Microsoft Dev Labs have really focused on continuous delivery as part of your WinOps experience. So what you can do is you can download these applications and maybe put them into your favorite IDE, so integrated development environment, such as Visual Studio 2017. So the purpose behind this is when you're moving so quickly doing DevOps and WinOps and you want to be able to see pipeline as code, you want push notifications when your pipeline, you're checking in, configuration as code, security as code, and part of that is you want to be able to get notifications that it's building the correct environments, that it's deploying the application, that the pipeline is moving across to the next deployment locations, such as moving between test and performance. So therefore, you really want to have notifications pushed to you without having to switch between applications. Recent research has shown that you lose up to 20 to 40% of your daily tasks going between different environments, different tool sets, that you're having to go in and check something like your Trello board, move it across, synchronize that with Visual Studio, Kanban, move it across then to a physical, maybe task on a physical Kanban board, and then you're having to go back and jump into your Visual Studio tool, connect a query. It can be lots of different tasks that in theory should just be seamless. So what I wanted to talk about is some of the great new capabilities that are coming in as part of Visual Studio 2017 15.6 Preview 2. So what they've done, and this was a tool that you could previously download from the Dev Test Labs, which would allow you to configure continuous delivery. So this is two components. One is that you can start using things like microservice and microcontainerization. So this is where you could set up a container. So that could be from Docker Hub, or that could be some kind of unikernel such as Mirage OS that moves the kernel outside of the container, and then actually allows you to use like large-scale unified compute platforms to run up and spin up millions or hundreds of these microcontainers that are very small in size. But each one of those, as they get deployed, you need to be able to get notifications that they're doing what they need to do. So that could be that the microservices come online, that you're getting and receiving the necessary heartbeat from those endpoints. And this is really important when it comes to things like Internet of Things, and also how you may be dealing with really complex environments, especially network virtualization, network function virtualization, service virtualization. These are all tools that and techniques that you may need to be able to have this kind of scale and deal with kind of deployment of web apps to containers, app services on Linux containers, or whatever it may be. There's now SQL for Docker. You've got a lot more components that are coming through that allow you to adopt some of this, your .NET applications. So part of it is you really want to understand how you can actually deploy, and when those environments have been deployed, you want to get notifications. So this configuration continuous delivery is really useful, and it allows you to get more visibility. And like I said, it gives you this ability to see straight from your IDE what's happening. So those push notifications into there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how you could integrate this into your Visual Studio IDE. As you can see, I'm running Visual Studio 2017 Enterprise, and you can see that there's the link to the continuous delivery containers and also the plugins. So what I can do is I can connect to a solution that is powered into a Visual Studio Team Services repository so that I can connect and get notifications. So I've created a sample project. So now that I've created a new sample project, if I just open that up, and as that opens up, I could start developing on this, and then I could look at pushing this particular component and get a notification of what's happening. All I need to do is configure the continuous deployment to Azure and save the notifications will come through straight into my IDE once I've checked this into Visual Studio Team Services. In the next example, I'm going to show you how you can get notifications directly into your Slack channel. Okay, so I've opened up Slack, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a new Slack project. So as part of this, I'm just going to create a new workspace that I'd like to work on for this integration with Visual Studio Team Services. So all I need to do is quickly type in my email address to sign up. And because this is a new project, I'm going to start a new project which is going to be called Minecube. And now that the channel's loading, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and select the integrations component, which is going to give me a token that I need to connect to my Visual Studio Teams Services instance. So I click and then go down to Manage Applications. And then all I'm doing is I'm selecting the application that I'd like to actually connect to. So in this case, I'm just going to search for Visual Studio. Now that I've found Visual Studio, all I need to do is click the install. And as you can see, there's a number of notifications which it's telling you it's going to cover, which is build, code pushes, pull requests, work items. So all I need to do is I need to define or create a new channel where I'd like to send these messages. I've decided to put them straight into general. The new integration has been added. What's important is if I just scroll down, you'll see that I actually have a key which I will need to use to hook into Slack. So I'm just going to copy that key, and then I'm going to move back into my Visual Studio Team Services instance. At this point, I'm now going to go into the admin section and then click onto service hooks. Once I'm in service hooks, I can then just simply add that service hook copied. So as that loads up, you can see that I've already got a number previously set up teams. So I'm just going to add another one. I need to just pick which service it is. So it could be Jenkins, it could be Bamboo, it could be Trello. But in this case, I'm going to use Slack. I'm going to pick the type of event that I want. In this case, it's because I want a work item that has been updated. So I'm just going to select that. I don't care where the area path is or any tags. All I'm going to do is I'm going to click next, and then I'm going to paste in that webhook. As you see, it's come up with a little tick to say it's okay, and now it's been sent. So it's just sending a bit of a test one, and as you can see, it's now sent it, and I could click on that and go straight into that to look at that. Section summary. As you've seen, we've gone through and looked at creating and testing personal notifications in Visual Studio Team Services, and looked at REST APIs and how you can get tokens to connect to microservices. And then we've gone through and looked at configuring integrations with Slack and also external applications such as Visual Studio Team Services 2017. In the next section, we're going to show you how to customize your process template